What is up, everybody? We're
Uh,
back from a bit of a hiatus. Boys had to do some gambling. The parlay didn't hit, but back and ready for more.
We were close though. We were
it's
close.
my
Real close.
it's my fault. I was
It's
very
not your fault.
confident
It's
that
not
they
your
would
fault.
win.
If the Bucks just took care of business against the Nets minus 9.5, we would have been richer, man.
We did, even though we didn't bet on it, we got the Denny. We bet that Denny
We
would
did
get
get we would have gotten the Denny
And
Avdia
We
prop.
also bet the Sabonis over and rebounds and assists, and he hit that like pretty easily. It's just that's the trouble with parlays. That's what happens when you go to Vegas. You miss one leg, and then all of a sudden,
I should have known better when the guy I was like telling the like different legs to was like, oh, I like Bucks minus 9.5. I should have been like, never mind.
It's funny because like 2 hours after we decided like we were gonna put Bucks minus 9.5 in the parlay, I was like, that's actually like a lot of points.
Yeah,
but I was in on it myself.
I mean, we're just like,
we had already added it.
Yeah, we just thought it was just Kyrie. I don't know, whatever. But here we are, happy to be back.
Yes.
So we'd like to start off, I think, with some players who we think have been pushing P recently. I'm gonna go. My player who's pushing P, just doing some good things all around. We like what we're seeing out of him. We saw Drew. Like, where's this tab open? I want to see, get the numbers exactly right. Drew Holiday. Oh, there we go.
I think Drew Holiday should have been an all-star over Chris Middleton this year.
I agree. I think he's more key to the team. But yeah, so Drew, I mean, obviously hit the game winner over the Heat this week. But what did he have in that game? He had 25, 6, and 11, was shooting pretty efficiently. For his standards, pretty normal. But 37.5 from three. He's not that efficient, but he just is a defensive stalwart. So really liked what I saw from him. That was fun. Like to see him, earning that max contract extension that he's gotten. So good for him. That was a sweet game.
He's played well all week too. He's had a really good week.
He's he's been on a tear recently.
I can go next. I have been hoping, begging as a Grizzlies fan, hoping, praying, and begging for the Lakers to win a game. Because due to some trades, we have their pick if it lands 11-30, and it goes to our division rival, the Pelicans, if it's 1 through 10. So I've been praying for them to win a game. Every game I'm tuning in like an absolute clown, thinking the Lakers are finally going to win a game. And then last night, it took a sliding Warriors team with no Draymond and I think also no Gary Payton II. But LeBron's 56.10 rebound performance finally got the Lakers a win. And I got to give him the players pushing P because I think, first of all, he's 37 and he had a 56-point game, which tied, I think, the season high for any player this year. And also that win, put the Grizzlies into the 2 seed as of today. So I have to give LeBron James his respect. I will be again tuning in like an idiot to root for the Lakers tomorrow against the Spurs. So LeBron is pushing P this week.
Man, I had a couple. It was tough. There's some players I had on my mind to give this out. I want to give an honorable mention to Boogie Cousins. Man's been through hell and back multiple times.
Yes, sir.
Had a crazy game, albeit against Houston, but still. But that's not who I'm going to say is pushing P this week. The player I'm saying pushing P this week, I was big on them coming out in the draft several years ago. And a lot of people, when this guy came out, they were like, oh, it's not a good pickup. And I was confused by that because in college, he was a solid player. I think he played four years, maybe 5, but he he came out when he was like 22 or 23, and people were like, "Oh, like whatever." But I was like, "This guy
I
can
know who you're
play."
going with.
Dude, Cameron Johnson, man.
Yes, sir.
The man had a crazy game against the Knicks on Friday. 11 for 16, 9 for 12 from three. And that kind of highlights the major improvement he's had in 3-point percentage from last year to this year. Last year shooting like 35%. This year shooting 45%. He's taking the same amount of threes basically per game. It's only 6, but he's making almost 3 of them. So I think it's a great piece. He'll never be a star of a team, but I mean, he stepped up and he's a solid piece. I mean, we watched him in the NBA Finals. He was knocking down threes, man. He was reliable. So, shout out to him.
His jump shot is so clean looking.
He's a
It's
great
beautiful.
piece.
It's a beautiful jumper. And the funny thing is, after he hit that game winner, I had like a hater in one of my group chats of friends from high school. It was like it's funny when NBA players act like they meant to bank it in. You watch Cam Johnson on that game winner, he knew it was going in the whole time. He let it go and he was like running to the bench to celebrate already. You know, he knew it was going in. I don't care if he meant to bank it or not. He knew it was going in somehow. You know,
38 points in 28 minutes on 16 field goal attempts. I mean, that's crazy. That's truly insanity. So,
Oh, and on Boogie Cousins, like I know it was against the Rockets or whatever, but they didn't have Jokic that game. And like you could easily lose without Jokic to the Rockets, you know. And that's kind of your job as a backup, is step up when the star is out.
What an interesting set of personalities you have there when you think about Jokic and Boogie Cousins.
I'd like to think they're gonna like that's gonna work well together.
Hey, opposites.
I mean, it has so far.
I had a friend tell me recently, hey, you wouldn't think peanut butter and jelly are very different, but when you slap them on some bread, it's classic. So
it's very true. That's funny. Okay. Do we want to? Does it make sense for us each to do like our mild takes and our?
Yeah, I think. Okay, so I've asked the fellows to each come up with a mild, medium, and hot take, like different flavors of hot sauce. So I think that we should each do the mild one, each do the medium one, and then each do the hot one. Great. So that we spiral up in spiciness here. And
only we had some chicken wings, we could do some hot ones, have a hot ones vibe.
Exactly. This is the hot one segment of the B+Ball Boys podcast. So I guess I'll get us started off here with my mild take. Okay, the low spiciness. The Suns will roll the West. I'm not worried about Devin Booker being out. I'm not worried about Chris Paul being out. He should be back by the end of the season. The Suns are gonna roll the West pretty easily. I mean, if you've watched them this year, they are a machine. They are like, I mean, they're a machine. Like they make very few mistakes. If you get into the clutch with them, you're like almost guaranteed to lose. And I mean, they have the 1 seed pretty easily. They have the easiest path. So if you look at the quality of team that the 2 seed will play, is either probably Minnesota or the Clippers, who might have Paul George back. That's the quality of team the 2 seed will play. Where Phoenix will play someone of the Clippers, who, you know, they may have Paul George or they might not. The Lakers, who are not good, and the Pelicans, who are, you know, they're a little better than their record is, but it's still not great. So you kind of land in a situation where they have an easy path. Chris Paul will have time to get back against like a worse team. They're extremely well coached. They have the experience, the finals experience. They have ways to match up well with everybody, and they don't lose in the clutch. I am like the Suns are a lock to make the finals, in my opinion. And that's even if they play my Grizzlies, by the way. They would roll my Grizzlies in like 5 games.
I'm upset that you clarified what you meant by like what you meant by rolling the West, because I really wanted to do the Drewski meme where he's like, what do you mean by that? But okay, so you're saying roll as in they're gonna just roll on into the finals.
Yeah, 4 and 5 game series.
Okay.
I'm not that worried about them playing the Warriors. Even if the Warriors have Draymond back, it would be the only challenging series they face. But I still see them winning in, I don't know,
That's fair.
6 games.
Hmm.
Which I guess is not rolling. But the way the Warriors look right now, I mean, they'd have to improve pretty significantly for me to say the Suns would have competition. I'm saying full strength Warriors, the Suns would still beat them, and it might not be. It wouldn't go 7.
Mhm.
Is my opinion. Even
That's
though
fair.
that's the worst matchup for the Suns in the West,
Yeah.
I still think that it wouldn't go 7.
It's been a really down year for the West, honestly. It's very odd. But
It's just injury. I was talking about
Yeah.
this the other day. It's just injury.
Mhm.
Like next year, you're thinking about who's going to be back. It's
the
crazy.
Clippers will be good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, like
The Clippers, the Nuggets.
Nuggets will be better.
I mean, even the Lakers the Lakers would be better if they had AD all season.
Yeah,
You know,
that's definitely true.
Draymond, obviously. Yeah, it's
Jamal
just a
Murray.
lot of and
Jamal.
Zion.
Zion's
Well,
something. There's
yeah.
something about Zion.
This is a
But-
conversation for a different time, I think.
Yeah.
Is there any disagreements with my mild take here?
No, I mean, I think
I
that's good.
I have a disagreement that it's only going to be 4 or 5 game series. I do
Okay.
see like if the season were to end right now, Phoenix would roll whoever I don't care who they play coming out of the play-in tournament. That's a roll. But
Yep.
if they play Dallas in the second round, I think they could go to 6.
Okay. I mean, like, I just disagree. It could go 6,
Dallas,
but you don't really
Dallas.
see Dallas having like an upset chance there, do you?
I don't think they could win, but I think they could get to 6.
Okay.
I don't know if I would bet against a team rolling against Dallas. I don't see that. Do I think Dallas could win? I mean, probably not.
I just think Phoenix is, first of all, bigger. They have
Mhm.
more size.
Mhm.
And like I said, I just think they're too mechanical. Like they don't make the mistakes that Luka can go off against anybody, right? But I think they don't make the mistakes that'll let his team get involved. And a lot of times that's the secret to success against a team like that is that they deal with the star getting his points, but don't let that's how they beat Jokic last year. They let him score basically, or go 1-on-1 against Ayton, and didn't let him get his passing game involved. I mean, by that point, Jokic was already like gassed, but it was very effective, obviously.
That's true. I mean, I guess Dallas is always scary, but I mean, to keep it in perspective, I mean, last 2 years, Luka has lost in the first round to the Clippers. So I don't know if he's not like a proven playoff guy yet, even though he does average like close to 40.
This also assumes that Dallas wins their first round series, which we might talk about later, I think.
Ooh, okay. All right. Should we do my mild take? Or-
Yeah, if you would like to
Let's
go
do
ahead.
William's mild take. I'm gonna call
All
him William in preparation for this.
This may be more of a concession, but I do think it is still a bit mild, just given who's behind them and what would have to play out. But okay, the Lakers, I think, will miss the play-in tournament. Last night didn't help this take. I wrote this take before they pulled the upset on the Warriors. But 28-35, they're 9th, and they're only 3 up on the 11-seeded Portland Trailblazers at 25-38. Their remaining strength of schedule is the second worst or second highest, I guess, second hardest behind Milwaukee's. They're only 9-18 against teams better than 500, and they're only 16-23 against the West. So, I mean, in the like last week and a half, when they're really fighting to just, stay in it, I could see them, collapsing under the pressure. It's been a bit of a train wreck with, there's been reports this week that Lakers executives are upset with Vogel for not benching Westbrook, or like at least not starting him. AD is still not back, not really entirely sure when he's going to come back. There's not like a silver bullet that's coming really. And we just kind of, well, I don't know, the Lakers seem to be reeling. What the one solution is if we just keep bringing different Rams stars to the home games, we'll win out the home games and we'll keep there. Since LeBron just loves to put on for the Rams when they're there. But
he definitely won for Matt Stafford last night.
Yeah, that was really funny. But yeah, thoughts? Do you guys think I'm crazy?
I was gonna say it's the lock.
It's the lock.
Spoilers, but it's a lock for them to lose or not make the
in
play.
The play-in.
Yeah,
not make the play-in. I'm gonna push back just a little bit. If your take was they would get the 10th seed and be the last spot in the play-in, I'd be completely in with you.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like I would say that's the most likely scenario.
Yeah.
Since your take is fall out of the play-in entirely, I think like you have to consider who is behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Portland is now trying to lose. Let's be clear.
That's fair.
Like they're sitting Nurk for like no reason. They've been a disaster since Nurk sat. After that hot stretch, they've been pretty bad since Nurk. They just decided that Nurk wasn't playing anymore. They cited some injury, okay, but like, let's be honest.
It's one of those.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Spurs, like, I actually really like watching the Spurs, but they're not good. And that's the case with the Kings too. Like, I think that the Sabonis Fox thing is intriguing, but like, it's not good yet. I don't know if it will be good, but it's not good yet. The Pelicans are the better team. They can probably win more games than the Lakers. And if that means that, oh my gosh, if that means that the 9-10 game is with Anthony Davis playing in New Orleans, this is must-see TV. That's must-see TV. I do think New Orleans can overtake them. So I think 10th is their floor because I don't think they're going to stop trying this year.
No,
I thought about it. They have no incentive to stop trying.
Yeah, they don't have their pay. Yeah, okay.
So that's my only pushback. But that's not like that's still like I'm not blaming you. You know what I mean for that.
Yeah.
My reasoning for agreeing, it sounds like I'm agreeing with Will. If I'm saying a lock for them to lose, strength of schedule. Lakers have the second hardest strength of schedule left. Mm-hmm. New Orleans and San Antonio are in the bottom third, and Portland has the easiest. So even if Portland is quote unquote trying to lose, you got some young guys who, they play the Rockets twice. They're going to play the Spurs 3 times. Spurs might beat them, but they play the Thunder twice. Whereas the Lakers have to play the Suns again twice. Lakers have to play the Nuggets twice. They have to play the Warriors, Jazz, 76ers, Dallas. Those are some hard teams. The Portland doesn't have to play the Suns or Denver anymore. And San Antonio and New Orleans, they have a lot more easier schedules on their games on their schedules. So,
as a fan of a team that was tanking not too long ago, I will tell you about the Blazers. If a player starts to win them games, they will sit him. If Josh Hart starts to win them games, they will sit Josh Hart. If they're playing a guy from your high school, right? Brandon Williams, who I'd never heard of before.
Hey, shout out to him, man.
He did hit a 3, and then they clowned him.
But why do they have to do that, man? That's ridiculous.
I don't know, but I don't know. I just keep watching Kings and Spurs games, and they're not much better than the Lakers. They're they on paper maybe. Well, on paper the Lakers should be better actually, but
Did you think,
Yeah.
not to cut you off, but did you think that those words would come out of your mouth 6 months ago?
no, not at all. I thought the Lakers would be worse than expectation, but I did not expect
It
this.
sounds weird listening to you say it, but it also makes me laugh, and I'm happy.
I was
Sorry,
reading
Will.
like some takes from the summer where they were like, oh my gosh, Kendrick Perkins was like the Lakers will push 70 wins, or like
That guy
for
has some takes.
example, Ball Don't Stop. If you're familiar with him, he's like a bit of a character. Was like, this is the most talented roster in history on paper.
Yeah, on paper, went in
yeah.
5 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah, if you're talking 2012, yeah.
yeah.
It's just kind of, yeah. I mean, I think people talk about the Lakers ad nauseum, but we'll see them in. I think we'll see them in the play-in at the bottom of it, and you think they'll drop out entirely. That's not that different. Like, we're not too far apart there.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true. All right, you want to take us away, Eric?
My mild take,
Yeah,
this is very mild, and most people are like, why does this even matter? But listen, I was a fan of this team going into the season. I'm embarrassed by the way this team started and where they are now. But Washington is a lock to miss the play-in tournament.
a lock.
A lock. Yep. I'm with you there.
It's so sad to me, man. Like, I was excited to see, like, when we watched them play the beginning of the season, it felt like they had like a little bit of everything. They had 3-point shooters, they had rebounders, they had mid-range. And it just, I know, whenever you have the star of a team go down, it's like the team starts to fall off. But they were falling off even when Bradley Beal was out there. And I don't know. They made some trades. I don't know if what their plan is, but I just wanted that to be a super mild take. Washington's missing the playoff tournament. Makes me very sad. I feel like they have some really good talent, especially at the big position. I think Daniel Gafford is a solid big. Like, we all like Rui Hachimura here. And my guy Denny, man.
Do you want Westbrook back?
Oh, do we want Westbrook back? No.
We'll give him right back to you.
I think if I'm the Wizards, we talked about this. That's a lot of money to give Bradley Beal for
That is a lot
what?
of money. That's true.
And
what,
they're going to
though?
do it too. They're going
We're
to,
gonna
that's all
sign
the
and trade him,
reports is
right?
they're
Right.
going to do it.
It's not, I don't think it's a smart thing to do. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but
It's a lot of money.
get Bradley Beal to Denver. Now that would be kind of interesting.
I'm a little out on Bradley Beal, and as a Serbian NBA fan, like, I know the Grizzlies are my team, but Denver is also my team. Well, not, it's like my secondary team, but Denver does not need Bradley Beal.
If Bradley Beal wanted to go to the West, if you could plug him into the West, where would you put him?
He had such a bad season that I'm like, on that contract, like, I'm not sure you should
He's
want
value
him.
add. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you
Because
were,
you think about that, that's like $50 million a year, right? And there are players who are worth like literally more than that.
Yeah.
Like even LeBron, for example, or Giannis, or characters like that are worth. And Jokic is well worth the supermax.
Oh,
I don't want two guys with the supermax on the Nuggets. I mean, come on.
I think
like,
that's fair. But let's say you're the Zeus of the NBA. You are on Mount Olympus and you oversee everything, and you say, for whatever reason, I'm moving Bradley Beal into the West.
Okay.
Where
Put him on the Kings.
The Kings.
Why you gotta be disrespectful?
If we're just dropping talent onto the Kings and see if they can finally break that
Just blessing the Kings.
losing season streak. I'm putting them on the Kings. Let's see what they can do. That now they have talent, right? Fox, Beal, and Sabonis would be talent. And let's see if they can actually do something. And there was theories that Washington wanted to pair Beal and Sabonis anyway.
I see that.
They just need a guard in the draft.
Yeah, I was a big Bradley Beal fan, and I'm a little bit out on him this year.
Yeah.
We'll ask you this: do you know if Washington has their pick?
Their first round pick this year?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think they traded it away.
No,
Um,
they didn't.
So, like I said with the Blazers, I think we're nearing the point in the season where if a player is winning them games, they're sitting. So I think we're near like Kuzma has like a sore foot or something like that, or Daniel Gafford has like a sore elbow and stuff like that and can't play. Or we're nearing that point for them, I think. So I'm with you.
That's fair.
Do we want to go to medium takes here?
Yeah, I'd
Yes,
love
we
to
do.
hear your medium take.
Marco,
right.
please.
My medium take is that the Bucks' status as a contender depends upon the health of Brook Lopez. Okay.
Whoa.
So it's not that
I like the nuance.
it's probably possible that they win a championship without Brook Lopez, although I would consider it pretty unlikely. If they have Brook Lopez playing and back the way that he was before, I would still consider them East favorites. But without Brook Lopez, I don't think I can put them as East favorites. And the reason is their defense. Their defensive rating is currently 13th in the league. Normally, we say that you need a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense to be like a true contender, right? That's kind of the saying. Their offensive rating is fifth in the league. So, they have one half of that proposition. And I just think that they're really inconsistent on the defensive end. Their plan is always to guard the paint and to let teams like not their best 3-point shooters take threes. And this has been key to, one of the best defenses in the league and the best defense in the playoffs last year. But it kind of depends on Brook Lopez being the backline defender and oftentimes Giannis coming over to help. But without Brook Lopez this season, they've been playing Giannis at center a lot. And Giannis has been the backline defender, and their help defense has suffered a little bit. And I just think that they need Brook Lopez back to make this defense really like that top 5 defense, or even, like I said, the best defense in the playoffs last year. And it sounds like they'll get him back, but they need him to be mostly himself, at least on the defensive end. I'm not that worried about him, even his shooting. I'm not that worried about his shooting. I'm not that worried about him scoring. I just need him to be the backline defender, and you're going to need a big body to face Embiid. And I need these Giannis at center lineups to not be the default lineup, but to be the lineup they throw out at the end of the game.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
You know what that reminds me of? That take reminds me of I don't know if the stat's still relevant, but I think not too long ago they were like the Suns have won every game where Bismack Biyombo is playing. And it's like 20 games.
The Bucks have won every game that Brook Lopez played.
Yeah. So very.
It was just the season opener, right?
Yeah, it was just the first game. They rolled the Nets though. They rolled the Nets in that game.
Very astute point.
So yeah, that's my take. Is that like I would say that they're East favorites with a healthy Brook, and that they're not without a healthy Brook.
What's their East power ranking without him? Like, would you put him like?
Ooh, I don't know. Like, because I've been considering Philly really. And I think we're gonna get into that, but Philly looks so dangerous right now.
Philly's nice.
Miami, they beat Miami. I have a hot take about Miami. I think they would still be above Chicago. And above Cleveland. But I think they might be level without Brook Lopez, level with Boston, behind Miami and Philly.
Okay.
And I don't want that to be the case because I really like the Bucks, but like I think people have underrated the loss of Brook Lopez this season.
I think you're right on that part.
But good news for them. It sounds like he's back with them, like practicing and stuff, and hopefully he gets like 10, 15 games to get ready to go.
Mhm. Okay, cool.
Is there any disagreements with that? Any like?
No, I'm glad. I think that's a really great point.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Heat are sneaky. But we'll get there. Okay, my medium take is I think the new look 76ers are going to get bounced in the second round. This is more of a feel thing than anything, but there is like, so my main like logical thing about why I had this take is that like they're Harden and Embiid are combining for close to 20 for free throws a game. I don't think they'll get nearly as much, as many trips to the charity stripe per game in playoffs. The refs swallow their whistle a little bit. We love to say that, but it is a little true. Then I know Doc Rivers is a championship coach, but he's underperformed a lot. He has a history of underperforming. I'd be astonished if they didn't make it past the first round, but I mean the second round, I think like they'll run up into someone that's difficult. And it is their first year together, so I don't know. I don't think it's championship or bust, but I do think like this will make them better for the long term, but I do think they're going to lose in the second round. How do you guys feel about that?
Can you say who you think they're going to play in the second round again?
Yes, I will.
It looks like they would play either Milwaukee or maybe Chicago or Boston. It depends on how these things shake out.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, Chicago, or Boston, I think are most likely.
I'm so excited. And I think it would be that doesn't have anything to do with Will's point. Well, it kind of does because we're talking about basketball, but I would be really upset if we couldn't see Alex Caruso back in the playoffs, because I'm really excited to see Chicago, and I'm even more upset that we probably won't see Patrick Williams play.
Oh, by the way, and Lonzo. And Lonzo Ball.
Right.
First of all,
I think it would just be a shame to not see them play in the playoffs.
All the news has been that from Chicago has been that all three of those players are like on track to come back this year.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so exciting.
Yeah, at least two of them, Lonzo and Caruso, I feel are definite to return.
I can't remember what happened to Patrick Williams. Did he break a bone?
So he I think he tried to dunk it.
His wrist.
And it got like blocked or the other way around.
His wrist.
Yeah, something like that. Which is a nasty injury, but like they've been saying that they think there's a chance he could come back. Lonzo, I'm a little less clear on, but Caruso, I'm pretty sure he'll be back. I mean, it was a broken bone. Broken bones, like if you think about sports wise, are not actually the worst injuries in the world.
Yeah, it was his wrist, right?
You'd rather have a broken bone than a torn ligament.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they said he was out like 4 weeks, and that Grayson Allen incident was, I don't know, like a couple weeks ago. They said 4 to 6 weeks. He should be back this month, I think.
He's gonna be such like a spark of energy for the team. They all hate the Bucks so much.
I'm not huge on the Bucks beat them this week.
Yeah.
In Chicago, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on Chicago's playoff chances though.
Okay.
But maybe I'll save that for a different take. Eric, do you have a medium take for us?
I do. My medium take is I think we're gonna see Dallas slide to the 3rd seed in the West. And
whoa.
And this is conditional because I don't believe this will happen if they're not the 3rd seed. If Dallas is the 3rd seed, I think we're going to see Dallas in the Western Conference Finals.
Wow.
Because if they stay where they are right now, if they're the 5th seed, they'll have to play Phoenix in the second round, and I don't think that they would win that. But if they were the 3rd seed, they would obviously beat whoever they play in the first round, and then they would do it. It would be a 2 versus 3. It would be Memphis,
Wow.
most likely. So, and I
Okay.
would take Dallas.
This is bordering on
Sorry.
I
hard.
would take Dallas.
Sorry, not sorry.
I
But
have
that's what
I
I
have
feel.
some
That's what I feel.
pushback.
But before you have pushback, this is entirely, I think my reasoning behind the sliding up has 2 things. It's obviously they're hot right now and they have one of the easiest strengths of schedule in the league. And 2, Golden State, hard strength of schedule, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be any easier if Draymond is out. So that's my reasoning for sliding up. And I think Utah will stay where they are in 4.
Okay, so you think
I just woke up the beast, Marco.
you think that Golden State then would slide to 5th?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have
Okay.
to draw.
Will, do you
4
want to go
games
first?
left.
You want to go first here because I have a lot of words.
Marco's got to wrap his hands and then put on the gloves.
Do you
I mean,
have
they're
anything to
they're-
say to Eric here, or can I jump right in?
I just think like there's only less than 20 games to play and they're 4 up. So like that's gonna be hard. But
Yeah.
I mean, I can see them overtaking the Jazz. Like I'm not like whoa on that, but like getting that much further. I don't know. You take it away, Marco.
Okay. That was my first point. Okay, there's 20 games left, right? Well, let me see. What do they have? 39 and 25. That's what, 64. There's 18 games left, and they have to make up 4 wins on 4 losses on the Warriors. I think that they won the season series. I know they won 2 games last week. I'm just let's just say that they won the season series, and all they need is a tie. They still need to lose 4 less games than the Warriors to overtake the Warriors. The Jazz, I mean, I guess I'm not like super pressed about it. They're 2 losses. They have 2 more, the same amount of wins, but 2 more losses than Utah does, right? And at this late at the season, I think the loss column is more important to look at because these winning teams lose less games, right? So you need them to actually lose a game to make up a game on them. It's not just about getting a win. Like you're supposed to get a win, but you need them to also lose. I know the Warriors are sliding.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like after tomorrow, they're kind of punting the game in Denver. They might get it together a little bit. You know, I guess maybe I can't say for sure, but getting up to 3 is a difficult proposition. I would consider them to beat the Jazz in a series for sure.
Yeah.
On to the Grizzlies. If they played in the 2-3, first of all, the Grizzlies would have home court advantage. Second of all, I think that the wins that the Dallas Mavericks have over the Grizzlies this season are a bit overstated. I think it's 2-1 so far, or it might be 3-1. They might have won the season series already, but one of the wins that they got against Memphis was playing their 8th game in 12 nights after their 11-game winning streak. And another one of them, they were missing like a lot of rotation players. And also for the entirety of the season, they've been missing the guy who guards Luka really well on the team, Dillon Brooks, who would be, and without Dillon Brooks, I will say this, they're not the best at navigating screens, which is what you need to do against the Mavericks. But Dillon Brooks is tremendous at just that. And he's also strong enough to deal with Luka to some extent. And in their past matchups, Luka has struggled against Dillon Brooks to the extent that Luka can struggle. You know what I mean? We're expected to have Dillon Brooks back in the next week and a half. I don't think that the huge matchup nightmare that has been like stated by Mavs Twitter that the Grizzlies are like toast against the Mavericks or something like that is true at all. I
Right.
think that like the matchup problems are a little overstated by the like fatigue and also missing players from when we face them. And I actually think that the worst part of the matchup has been traded away. Like for all the struggles Kristaps Porzingis had, he
Mhm.
always played really well against the Grizzlies because we just matched up really poorly with Kristaps Porzingis, and he's no longer on the team. So I'm not really worried about playing the Mavericks in the playoffs. Also, if it's in the second round, like I'm pretty happy with the Grizzlies season if they win their first round matchup. So I disagree with you. I do think that they can get the 4th seed though.
Medium
like
take,
that.
my friend.
This is the point of the segment though, is like you need to get me to argue.
Embrace debate, dude. Yeah, I love
I
it.
think what we had addressed in like teams' weaknesses, like in the playoffs,
Mhm.
Dallas's biggest weakness is 3-point shooting. And they've been shooting through the three really well. And they already were playing great defense. I think if I'm Luka, the leader, maybe not the leader, right? Because I think the Heat would tell you Udonis Haslem's their leader, even though like he's like 50 years old. But anyway,
I don't know about it. I don't believe
Luke,
that.
that he's 50 years old.
Oh no, that he's their leader.
My point is, whatever you want to call Luka, he's definitely their best player. And I think to Will's point about like he's never made it past, I think this is whatever round. I think he's
First round.
hungry. I think he's hungry.
Yeah.
Shout out Spencer Dinwiddie, man. He had a crazy. When did he have that crazy? It was yesterday or the day before, right?
I think he had a great game yesterday when Luka was out
Yeah.
against the Kings, though. So it was the Kings, but
Hey, it wasn't the,
a win is a win.
Queens, so.
Are we on to hot takes now?
Yeah. Let's do
Here
it.
we go.
All right, it's time for me to slander the Miami Heat. Okay.
Before you do that, that would be a cool name for a team, though, right? The Queens.
Yeah.
Kind of. It could be Charlotte because that's a Queen City. But
Sorry, go ahead. Slay away.
okay. I'm here to slander the Miami Heat.
Oh, geez.
Okay. I think that depending on matchup, what everyone always talks about when they talk about the Miami Heat is first things first, they say, why does nobody talk about the Miami Heat? Instead of complaining about why nobody talks about the Miami Heat, why don't you just, I don't know, talk about the Miami Heat? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I guess is more a complaint about media. And then the next two things that they say are like their dogs and then Heat culture. Oh, how great they are at finding guys out of nowhere. They are great at finding guys out of nowhere. I like respect that.
Yeah.
Their ability to do that is crazy.
Evaluation.
In the playoffs, it matters a little bit less. Unless some guy gets hurt, their playoff rotation will probably be shortened to like 8. So you're not like so focused on the depth of guys like Yurtseven or Gabe Vincent, although he might get playoff minutes in the playoffs because they're not getting as much time. It's really about who your starters are, and to their credit, like they've played really well with their starters not playing together most of the time. But I just think that with your best player being Jimmy Butler, you're not getting that far. Okay. The bubble was weird. I'm not taking anything away from the bubble run or something like that. But it's very clear that situation helped some teams and hurt some other teams, which it's still fair. Everyone was on fair playing ground, but it was a better situation for some teams and a worse situation for other teams. So what are the Heat weak against? Well, if you guard Jimmy Butler with size, it's actually pretty clear that he's not been super effective this season. I'm looking at his game log. Against Milwaukee, he went 2 for 14, was a -21 in a game that they lost by 1. In Charlotte, They went into overtime against a Charlotte team that is not that good. He went 5 for 24. They ended up winning the game in either one overtime or two, but he was 5 for 24. What made him shoot so poorly? Well, he was being guarded by size. He spent most of the game being guarded by Miles Bridges. A game against Philadelphia, he has here. He went 1 for 11. You know, they can stick Matisse Thybulle on him and be relatively fine. Neither of those players are big shooting threats, but he seems to do well. There's just a way to neutralize him, in my opinion. And I don't think Bam Adebayo is like a dominant big man that will punish you for like switches and such. And the team that can take advantage of this the best that they might feasibly face in the first round is the Toronto Raptors. And I think that the Heat would go 7 games with the Toronto Raptors, and it could go either way. That's my hot take.
Wow.
The Toronto Raptors are 3-0 against the Heat this year. Their team is full of the size guys that can guard Jimmy Butler well, as I just detailed. They play Fred VanVleet and like 4 guys who are 6'9" and 6'10", and like and Gary Trent Jr., who's also like he's got good size for his position. And they switch everything. And I'm saying I don't think that Bam Adebayo would play that well. Like I don't think that he would just dominate the switches, right? And like I said, 3-0 against the Heat this year. And if Kyle Lowry is playing in Toronto in front of fans, it might be a little emotional. That's all I'm saying. He hasn't played in Toronto with fans there yet this year. So I'm just saying it might not be his best series. I'm not gonna say like he would play poorly or anything. But
there's not like that animosity, but yeah, it would be emotional.
It would be emotional. It's hard to play like that. I know like last couple of years I watched Mike Conley's first couple games in Memphis after the trade where he didn't play very well. You know, in the playoffs and onwards and stuff like that, he eventually like got it together and played well like himself. But the first couple games in Memphis, Mike Conley didn't play super well, especially shooting wise. And I kind of think that the same could happen with Kyle Lowry, where he's playing in Toronto in front of fans, and maybe he doesn't have his best games, and that leads this series to go deep. And when you get to 7 games, I mean, anything can happen. So I'm just saying, if they face the Raptors, I'm kind of like they might be on upset watch. That is my hot take. The Heat are vulnerable to a first round upset. That's my hot take.
Spicy.
It's spicy.
I feel like I did a lot of explanation there, but like
you gotta explain the spiciness.
I gotta rationalize it. Oh, and I also don't think Butler would get as many free throw attempts as he normally does.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. Well, given one of the takes we've talked about, I don't know how likely this is to be the setup, but I definitely think. Well, sorry, are you done? Should I go?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done unless you want to argue with me.
No, I do see what you're saying. Like they probably are a little, or overrated. Just okay. So if the Jazz, how it's constituted right now, if the Jazz were to play the Mavs 4-5 matchup, I do think they'd be upset in the first round. Me and Marco were talking.
He's saying the Jazz. You're shaking your head, Eric. He's saying the Jazz would get upset.
I know, but I like the Jazz too.
Oh, okay.
You want both to win?
No. Go ahead.
I thought you were like the Matt.
I'm being silly. Go ahead, man.
It's Marco and I were talking about it earlier. When Gobert's out there, he's it's weird since he can sort of be simultaneously like hunted on defense while being like a 3-time decoy. But like you bring him out to the perimeter and then he can't have all these like blocks near in the paint. And then he's not really an offensive threat. So defense was key in on that. And then they shut down the other options that the Jazz have. And I don't know, there's a lot. I mean, if Mitchell goes supernova, which he obviously is capable of doing, he can overcome this. But I do think like it just I don't know. The team is like so good in the regular season, but like they just time and time again underperform in the playoffs. I don't think that they would get past the Mavs.
Do you think they would get past, let's say Denver plays them in the first round?
I mean, yeah, I don't think they're getting past Jokic.
Jokic is like the only opposing center who like, well, maybe Embiid. I don't know too much about the Embiid Gobert matchups, but Jokic, like, he kind of one-on-one he owns Gobert.
Yeah.
But then usually in the regular season, like Gobert's team is able to overcome Denver. Obviously, we saw in the bubble playoffs, like Denver is able to win.
Yeah.
But in the one-on-one matchup, like, I mean, Jokic, he doesn't get too far off the ground. He's very experienced in using all the angles and stuff like that to avoid the block shots. So, you know, could be an interesting matchup there. Eric, do you have any opinion on this?
It's just sad to me that like Jazz are like, I'm trying to think of another sport where Jazz are like, Jazz are kind of like the Packers.
They are like
of
the
Packers of the
Packers.
NBA. Like regular season, like hell yeah, but when the playoffs roll around, whoops,
Wow,
forgot my cleats at home, forgot my basketball shoes at home.
You get to the second round and then you're like, what is happening?
Yeah, exactly. Like the Packers will always get like a first round bye. And then when they're playing their own stadium, they're playing at like a low seed, and they just like, oops, can only score.
It's crazy. That's
so
true.
I can't disagree with that. But I feel like, man, I got a real spicy take, man.
I'm ready.
Wait, hold on. Can I let me finish talking about the Jazz,
go ahead.
And then I want to hear your hot ones, insane take, like your brain breaking take here. Okay, but I do want to talk about the Jazz for just a second. All season, I've been watching to see if they can beat a switching lineup. And the same issue that plagued them versus the Clippers, the switching lineup, they still can't beat it. I thought for some reason I had talked myself into the addition of Rudy Gay being like the solution. It's not that Gobert can't defend the switch on the perimeter. It's that if he's defending the switch on the perimeter, there is no shot blocking in the paint. I think Will mentioned that, right? He's as far as centers go, he's decent on the perimeter. He's just too long for you to really get much space. But the shot blocking isn't in the paint then. And even if you don't get like a switch, his perimeter defenders are just letting players drive straight at him. We saw in the Clippers, like this Clippers series, Reggie Jackson and Terrence Mann were getting straight lines straight at Gobert. Like, these are NBA players. Like, you give them a full head of steam, they'll finish over anybody, right? And I guess the main thing that I was looking for is when you put a small on Gobert, can he score on them? And it's not just that he can't, it's that his teammates don't even look to pass it to him when he has a small on it. And that's going to be damning if they face a switching team in the playoffs. You want to get Gobert to score to break the switching to help your perimeter players out, but he can't. He can't, and they won't try. It's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I'm with it.
That's why the Lakers won that game like a month ago, by the way, where they were down.
Okay.
And they threw out that switching lineup, and the Lakers ended up beating the Jazz. This was the game that like
Aaron Donald game.
Yeah, and the game that Westbrook like posterized Gobert and everything. Like the Lakers were down like 10 in the fourth quarter and just started to switch everything and came back and won.
Hell yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I think you articulated that better than I was. So thank you. Eric,
no problem.
Eric, what do you got here, buddy?
Here we go. So, so we got this playing tournament going on, right? And
okay.
you gotta bear with me. Right now, if the season were to end, you got Toronto and Brooklyn.
Okay.
They play each other, right? 7 versus 8
Yep.
Yes.
In Toronto,
in Toronto.
Mhm.
which Kyrie may not be able to go to Canada.
Oh, that's
I'm
true.
I'm not sure. That might change soon, but
Yeah,
he might not. Let's just say
Like,
let's just say
they're one of the stadiums that like you gotta have a jab.
Yeah.
you gotta have a job to enter the country, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Regardless, I think KD will be back. Maybe Ben Simmons will be back, but KD will be back. KD's back.
He is back now, yeah.
I'm gonna say Brooklyn gets that 7th seed,
Okay.
which means that right now the Sixers would play them. My take is I think the Sixers win in 4 or 5.
Whoa.
I
Win
think
in
the
4 or
Sixers
5.
actually hand it to them.
Can we go further a little bit?
Yeah.
Does Ben Simmons play in Philly in that series?
Well,
Could you imagine you trade for Ben Simmons, you get rid of James Harden? I mean, the Sixers gave up more, but still, could you imagine you get Ben Simmons and then he doesn't? That I think he would be killing his career. He would never get a big contract ever again.
Yeah,
No.
although he's doing pretty well in this current one.
Right.
I mean, he's like, yeah. He's burned half his money.
It would completely destroy his career. I think that'd be if it's other, like, it has to be like a real, like, not saying that he's not going through stuff, but like it's just very clouded right now. Like we don't know exactly what's going on. I don't think has it come from his mouth that it's like, oh yeah, I have mental health issues. I don't know.
I think it's come from Rich Paul mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes it like but he hasn't like given a diagnosis either. Not that we're owed that, but still it's like a very, like, we don't know what the issue is. The timeline is it's a very personal thing.
Yeah. I think currently what the Nets are saying is that he tweaked his back a little bit.
Yes.
And that's why he's currently out. Now, I have no reason like not to believe that. I guess my thinking is that if you haven't, played the sport at a high level in a long time, and then all of a sudden you start ramping up to play, that can cause your back to tweak. I'm not calling them a liar or anything like that on that front, right?
Mhm.
And I do believe that he had like some sort of mental block about playing. You know what I mean? I probably would too if I was playing in front of 20,000 people who hated me every night. I think that if they faced in the playoffs, Ben Simmons would play. I just can't imagine him playing well in the games in Philly.
Right.
And like for me, I kind of live off of that. Like, look, like I'm a rec league warrior, right? Like I'm not playing NBA games and stuff like that, but I do kind of love like the FU vibe. You know what I mean? Like I'm playing despite you vibe. In one of my rec league games, like the entire team had all their girlfriends there, and I hit a 3 in front of all of them. I was like, I felt like a villain. I hated. I didn't hate them. Like I was just like I was playing like I hated them. You know what I mean? Which like it kind of fuels some players. Like it'll fuel like Dylan Brooks, for example, who's one of my favorite players, is like a villain on the road and stuff like that. I just don't think Ben Simmons is like that. I think that maybe he would want to be like the villain in Philadelphia in this situation, and then as like a FU to them, and then it doesn't work out. I just don't see him playing. I see him playing, but not playing well if that series were to theoretically occur.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a lot of things have to go right for this to be the matchup, but I mean, KD's at least taking it 6, I think, right? Like,
Oh, I got like a theoretical hot take for you guys. I don't think that. Does anyone here think that Brooklyn could actually lose in the play-in?
Yeah.
You do.
I mean, lose
Mhm.
2 games, like they'll be
Yeah, lose
in
both
the
games.
8th seed, so they'd have to lose 2.
I think they,
both.
wait, are you saying lose like a game or lose like
Lose
fall
both
out?
and miss the playoffs.
Oh no. But
Yeah, I
I,
don't think so.
I could see a situation where if they're playing in Toronto, they lose that game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they could very easily lose the first one. And then but the teams that are in 9 and 10 are like the Nets are simply better than them.
Yeah,
You
they
know.
definitely are better.
Yeah, they're better than them horn dogs for sure.
And the Hawks. I don't know, but Ice Trey, bro. Ice Trey.
If I'm the Hornets, though, I'm really happy going into the offseason because I know exactly what I need in the draft.
Which is what?
A
A
big.
big.
Give me a
Didn't they
big.
pick a big last year? They picked Kai Jones. He barely plays.
You get another one.
Okay.
Another one.
Another one.
I feel like they could use I don't know what they honestly like at the place in the draft that they'll be drafting. I would just take the best player there, best player available.
Paolo.
They won't be that far up.
Things happen.
My draft philosophy is generally best player available.
Yeah.
I'm glad, I'm glad you're
and
not
like
drafting for my Giants then.
yeah.
No, because I don't want a corner, but that's what we're talking about basketball. But anyway. No, yeah, I agree. Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn will win both those games against Toronto. No shade to the 6. But
Well, they only have to beat Toronto once. In the 7-8 game, whoever wins is the 7th seed.
Yeah.
I gotta talk to Silver about Adam Silver about all this stuff.
The loser plays the winner of the 9 and 10 game.
Right.
So they would like, let's say that they lost to Toronto, they would play probably they would play Charlotte or Atlanta as things currently stand. Whoever won that game. And I'm not a big Atlanta believer. I'm not a big Charlotte believer either, actually. I don't really believe in either of them. I think that Brooklyn would beat them.
Yeah.
And honestly, by the way, I'm not happy about this season if I'm either Charlotte or Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta, I'm like very disappointed. And yeah, well, same with Charlotte. But
Charlotte, like, think about it. Last year they were in the like everyone's had some injuries this year, right? So like Gordon Hayward getting injured he played
like,
most of the year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like they're in the same exact spot as they were last year. They lost in the play-in last year to Indiana or Washington. Indiana, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, they didn't get any better. I'm a little disappointed if I'm them. And Miles Bridges has tailed off a little bit since his like early most improved campaign too. So
it's crazy.
is that all for our takes, guys?
I think that's all, man.
I think it
was fun.
That was fun. There's some spice in there. Thank you.
I got a little heated about the Mavs take. Yeah.
I was trying to get the boy heated, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But this is turning out to be quite the season. We are blessed.
I'm excited for the playoffs.
The playoffs are going to go down. They're going to be very fun.
I'm not even that mad about baseball being locked out because we got this great league that in the NBA,
That's true. Hopefully that picks up here soon. All right. I think we'll call it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.